definitely got some ulterior motives. He's got to play until he's 40 so he can pay these debts he has.
Yeah, pretty much. Bro.
Like, you're not fooling anybody, AP.
Second rounder, but it could become a first rounder conditionally, right?
It just has to play 75% of the offensive snaps.
Oh, so really?
So it's like barring injury, it'll become a first round pick.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So a first and a third, basically. You said that's if Wentz plays 75%? Okay. And then Phillip Rivers is retired, correct? Like, he's gone. So it's his team. There's no one else that would really be, under center. This is what we were talking about last week. You were like, he needs this fresh start.
He needs it, and he gets to pair up with Frank Wright, his old coach from when he was in Philly, and he had, that MVP type season. So it'll be good. I think he needs it. I mean, I think he just needs an organization that like believes in him. I think he kind of lost that with Doug Peterson, and then with them drafting Jalen Hurts, and then they started playing Jalen Hurts, and the team was even starting to look a little bit better on offense. And I think he just he lost his swag, and they were talking about this on First Take, but he knows that he didn't win them that championship. Nick Foles won them that championship. So I think that kind of hurt his pride some. So yeah, I think this will give us a real glimpse to see if he can get back to who he was being in that championship type of prior to him getting injured and being in that MVP race. If he can get back to that, they'll be good. I mean, because they have. You think about the weapons that's around him, from Jonathan Taylor at the running back spot to Paris Campbell, T.Y. Hilton.
Not to mention the other side of the ball. They are like a top 10 D. So
I mean, then that O-line with Zach Martin, like I think they gave up 19 sacks total last year. So he's in a very good spot. I mean, they got Mo Alley Cox at the tight end. Like they're loaded.
Yeah, it's basically like the ball's in his hand to either excel or drop the ball. So
I think it'll help.
Do you think does that? So I mean, because Phillip Rivers played all right last year. I mean, he's obviously not what he was.
Can't run.
No,
not as good as Wentz can.
No, definitely not. So like I would assume. Obviously, if Wentz plays like he did their Super Bowl year, that's a huge improvement, but like that could be a stretch. So like realistically, what is your thought? Like where does this improve them?
I think it does. Where it's going to come into play is like, Phillip Rivers I think he's maybe a little bit better at reading defenses.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I mean, if Wentz can really put the skills that he has and into that offense, and if he can play, I don't even necessarily think that he has to play at his peak, right, of when he was in that MVP, but if he can get somewhat similar to that or get close enough to it, they're already like a playoff team. I think they would even make the playoffs even if they had Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback next year. Just because that's how solid that D is, and that's how good of a weapons that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that can put them in contention to win their conference, though. I will go so far to say that.
Where are they drafting this year?
Let's see. I'm not sure.
In the first round,
it's got to probably be like a low middle.
The Colts are drafting. If my computer were low, they are drafting 21st. Their running back position's solid. Obviously, we said they don't need any D. So I would almost think. What do you think? Like a receiver or something like that? What would they?
I mean,
what would they go after?
A receiver.
Because T.Y.'s getting old.
Yeah, I mean T.Y.'s getting old, but they still have other guys though.
Mm-hmm.
They got Robbie Anderson. Like they still have. They got Mo Alley Cox. Like they have other guys on their roster that I feel like are pretty solid receivers. They got Zach Pascal, Michael Pittman Jr. Like they got really solid guys.
Yeah.
They just have to. But I mean, in Paris Campbell, I mean, Duke can just flat out run. I mean, it may not hurt to try to go and see if you can get like a speedster, like someone that can kind of just stretch the what's in there. You kind of get like that Tariq Hill type of thing, or because I think
just a deep ball threat.
Yeah, and having that in there, so you can get something like that wouldn't hurt.
For sure. Who else is in their division?
They're in that division with Tennessee, Houston, and Jacksonville.
So Houston, I mean, that's not.
It's a bust.
Even, but like, and how far? I mean, I guess we can talk about this in a second, like because we'll go in more detail. Jacksonville sucked this year, so I mean, they're basically competing with Tennessee. Obviously, Jacksonville, we're going to talk about all the improvements they're about to make, but I would think as of right now, you'd still have to say Tennessee is going to be like their number one competitor to win the division.
Pretty much, I think it's a toss up, and the only reason why you would give it to Tennessee right now is just because they have more time. They have that continuity with one another, right? Mm-hmm. And they know who they are as a team. Even though I think they still got to get some things to figure it out on their defensive line.
Yeah, if they had a defense that was firing on all cylinders, bro, they'd be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah. Like they just got to get Clowney has to get figured out. Like he really has to start showing up and showing who he really is and why he was worth the money that he was worth or the money that he was asking.
Is he's not a free agent, is he?
No, he's not a free agent. But he's got to start performing. He was out a lot last year with injury. Like he's got to get on the field and start playing. And I mean they got your guy.
Yeah, my boy
receiver.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
Corey Davis is pretty good too.
They're solid.
Well, let's go to the other team then in that division, Jacksonville. Like what they got Urban Meyer. All signs point to obviously Trevor Lawrence is going to be like the first overall pick, but this goes back to Deshaun, bro. And I floated this to my friend the other day, and we talked about it. And now it's actually like on sports radio talk, so it was like interesting. Like, if you're Jacksonville, would you give that number one pick up for Deshaun? Because I would.
Hell yeah, I would.
Because we don't know what Trevor. We think he's going to be great, right? But like Deshaun's a bona fide 5-star quarterback. Like
like we know what he can do. Mm-hmm. And somebody brought this up too, like Trevor Lawrence in big games, he's been okay. Clemson got a championship out of him, but they lost the other two.
Yeah.
Or they lost those other playoff games, right? Mm-hmm. Against teams that had like solid defenses. And you think like, those defenses are only going to get stronger in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Whereas Deshaun Watson, he's proven. So if the Texans are like, look, we'll give you Deshaun, but we need that number one pick, pull it, trigger fast. But if I'm Deshaun Watson though, before I got traded, since he does have that no trade clause, I would have a conversation with Urban Meyer because we would have to talk about his hiring decision and trying to bring on Chris Doyle, that old strength and conditioning coach. Like we would have the conversation about that. Like, what made you think that was a good idea?
Yeah, definitely.
Especially knowing the league that you're coming into and the stuff that he had, that baggage that he had. Like I would address that with Urban Meyer because that just looked really bad. That was
really did, man. Decision. Just seemed like a boneheaded move. Like, did you think no one was gonna like?
He was looking out for one of his friends. Yeah. I mean, it's just you kind of go to that adage thing of it's a good old boy type of move, and that's really what it kind of reeked of. Because I mean, he even mentioned about I've known him for 20 years and
still be a piece of shit.
That part. So yeah, I would have that conversation. But if he would be. They would question him again, his decision making again, if he wasn't like do that now, like where's the accept button?
I mean, it makes for an interesting headline for Jacksonville because they got the number one overall pick and they just brought Urban Meyer on, but I don't know if he's coached before, but there's been a lot of stories of coaches switching from college to pro or vice versa and it not working out, man. I mean, you can just look at recently Harbaugh going to college. He sucks. He should be fired. I know you're a Michigan fan. I'm not. I'm going to say it. Harbaugh should go. Like, that dude's an embarrassment to what Michigan is. Look at Saban. He went to the Dolphins. He was an amazing college coach. Sucked when he went to the NFL. So it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily going to change life. And I like Urban Meyer, but it'll be interesting. I think there's a big hype around Jacksonville right now, and they do have the potential to really elevate, but they could also just stay right where they are. So
I do I think that Harbaugh should be fired.
That's your mind.
I'm about to dissect everything you just said.
You didn't get past that part.
I would not go past and let this U of M bashing go on.
Go ahead, man. I really want to hear you try to defend this man, because that dude.
No, so I would say this: you look at the recent coaching that we have, and tell me he hasn't been the most successful since Lloyd Carr.
Sure. If that's what you're
There's no sure that it's just fact. He has been, right? This is the first losing season that he's had since he's been here.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
true. To me. And then you look at the players that he's been able to produce and put out, they've been good. Do I think he deserved to come back? I think we could. But then you also look at the landscape of somebody put this to me, and I was like, damn, you're right. Like, who else is out there that you could have went and got?
I understood the move when it happened. I'm just saying, 5 years in, you've been pathetic, and like you said, I guess the best.
We haven't been great. We haven't been the greatest. I will admit to you, like, do you expect more out of it? But it's like also like we've been competing. We've been there. We just haven't gotten over that hump, and I think that's the thing. And so hopefully we can get over that. Okay. Now that I got that out, I'm good now.
Such a Michigan fan.
But you also look at Harbaugh, though. He was successful in the NFL.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, that transition doesn't always work out, man.
Yeah, and I mean, because you even look at Cliff Kingsbury, he's been okay. Like, there's still some things I feel like they still have to kind of figure out, and I don't know if that's on him or if it's them getting like the right players. I mean, he's done great as far as like getting moves, as far as getting players. So we'll see. But you're right. I mean, a lot of coaches have struggled a lot.
Yeah.
Making that switch. So it'll be interesting how he does. In the players that he goes after too, because you have sometimes you have those coaches where, like, I remember coaching him in college. Let me see if I can go and get him, right? You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Do you remember when we were working at Champs and Michigan muffed that punt?
Do not.
The ball is free.
Listen, I was like, bet game. We won that. And there's no way we're about to lose this game. We're about to kick it off. And, we're about to just punt it off, and that's game. And then next thing I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, that
was amazing.
Dog.
Oh, that was crazy.
And then who was it that showed me that video? What was the big boy's name?
Josh.
Yes. Josh showed me that video. I was hurt, bro. Like, how the hell did he drop the fucking punt?
Right.
Like, you dropped the snap, and then you, rather than just falling on, he tried to pick it up again and kick it, and like,
yeah, that was insane, bro. I just remember looking at you, and you were like, Michigan's lost, and like you just looked so depressed.
Because I knew we just won the game.
That was insane.
I knew we won the game.
That's one of like the craziest endings I've ever seen to a football game.
Ever. Like, between that and that Alabama Auburn, like,
like
that. Those are probably the two craziest like endings of a game, probably.
Yeah,
it's unexpected.
Was the Auburn one where you returned the punt return for a touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
no,
nuts.
It wasn't a punt. No, it wasn't a punt.
A kick.
They went for the field goal.
Yes, and he caught it in the end zone. Yup.
Yeah, and ran it all the way back.
That was nuts, bro. That was some Devin Hester shit. That was crazy. He just ran it right up the sideline. Like, that was one of the. I think that was when it was like Alabama hadn't been beaten in forever. Like, that was their first loss in like a year or two. That was crazy, bro.
Crazy.
Whew. There's a lot of free agents right now that no one's really talking about, though, man. Like, the Steelers, in my opinion, are not going to win 8 games next year. Like, they started off 11-0 this year. I don't even see them winning 8 altogether this year. They have a lot of free agents that are leaving. I don't know what's going on with James Conner, but they have no resemblance of a run game. Bud Dupree might be on his way out. Juju's, they're saying, like, as good as gone. And what's up with Big Ben? No one knows what his, it's just like they have a lot of things up in the air, and I don't see them having that successful of a season, especially with the emergence of the Browns. So
what I read as far as Ben is that they're looking to restructure his contract to where he'll get a little bit less, and then it just kind of almost as like it will be paid out in later date at in later time, so that way it's not hitting so much as their cap, so they can try to do their best and try to get a lot of their defensive guys back, like Bud Dupree and stuff like that. So yeah, there are a lot of guys that I think are being missed because like I don't know if enough people are talking about Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, led the league in touchdowns, right? Are you season ago?
Not last season, but the season before. Yeah, reception touchdowns. What is it? The tackle Trent Williams. Like him. Like there's a lot of guys that Levante David. Like we spoke about them last week, but
yeah,
those are big pieces that
Von Miller.
Yeah. Like I heard about that. Will Fuller.
Yeah, Will Fuller will be an interesting piece because he got suspended for a couple games for PEDs, right? But before that, he was balling.
He was. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Where did I see? Dude, I saw a report that said he's going to go to the Patriots. I was like, what on earth? That would be a sight to see, to say the least.
Then hold on, they have what pick do they have? The 6th?
Patriots?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft. It's probably top 10 for sure because they didn't hit 500, did they? They were 7-9.
No, they were 7-9.
Yeah, where did they not? The 15th.
Oh, 15th. Okay. So be interested. I mean, that's another one. You got Richard Sherman.
That'll be an interesting one. The 49ers, if we're talking about like, who's going to step forward and who's going to step back. They were obviously just destroyed by injuries and players opting out and stuff like that. Like, do they resurge this year? Like, I don't know because it's very a shaky situation over there. I don't know how much I trust Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, do you think he's going to stay there? Like, do you think they're going to try to trade him?
I'm trying to remember what he got. When he left the Patriots, they signed him like a 5-year, $20 million contract. Like I don't think he's elite by any means. I think he can manage the game. But who wants to take on that contract for that risk is I guess what you'd have to figure out. And I think that's where I've heard people say, floating rumors, like what if he went back to New England?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm just worried about the Saints quarterback situation. That's the only thing that I care about.
Listen, we had this conversation.
Don't fucking say it, Mo.
Just accept it. He's y'all starting quarterback. Week 1 started quarterback for the Saints is Jameis Winston. And stop playing with that man. Put some respect on his name. You not willing to accept that?
When did you become such a big Jameis Winston fan?
I'm not a Jameis Winston fan. I just like fucking with you. 1. But 2, like
some respect on his name.
Like, put some respect on the J.
He threw 30 interceptions this last season.
Right. Okay, so it made some bad decisions, right? But
a lot of bad decisions.
Don't ignore the fact that he still threw for 5,000 yards either.
Sure, I guess. That's just such like a I don't know how to explain it, like an empty calorie season. Like you're just like, okay, you threw 30 touchdowns and had the most yards, but you threw 30 picks. Your team was 7-9. Like you just didn't look good. Like I want nothing to do with that man. I do know he probably went to New Orleans though, because they got that good seafood, and we know how he feels about crab legs.
You are not talk about letting somebody live.
Dang. I was thinking about it. I was like, why would he go there? And that's what it is, bro. He's like, I can probably steal a lot of lobster from New Orleans and get away with it.
Nah, he don't need to steal it.
So
he got money now.
Yeah, I guess so. I just don't want him. I wish him happiness and safety in his life. And
so, let me ask you this though. Would you, let's say like they're not going to make a quarterback move, right? Drew Brees retires. They're not going to make a quarterback move. Do you think would you be more comfortable with him or Taysom Hill?
probably Jameis, and then I have Taysom Hill's I like Taysom Hill's role, and I think that can expand even more now that he played starting quarterback. Like give him that Swiss Army knife role in offense and let him throw some trick play balls, but like he can't be your number one quarterback. Like that's just not
number one like that.
No.
Have you seen him throw the ball?
Oh, yeah, it's just not. It's not.
Real sketchy.
That's a good word for it. Because sometimes he's a good arm and like he can make some throws, but it's like he's not a starting caliber quarterback.
No, he's very Tebow-esque.
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, that's a good comparison. I'm delusional, but I'm just like holding out like they're gonna make a move for Deshaun or Russ or something like that, and at the last minute, just some blockbuster quarterback comes over to the Saints, and that's what I see in my dreams, and it's probably not going to happen. But
and so we have to go back. So Clowney is a free agent.
Okay, I thought I saw that, and guess what?
He's only signed a 1-year deal. I forgot about that. He signed a 1-year deal.
I was seeing that Baltimore might grab him.
That'd be a good pick.
Yeah,
be a good pickup for him. I am hoping, as far as things, if I want to talk about the Lions, we need a pass rush. So if he wants to come to Detroit, I would not complain if Clowney wants to come to Detroit. And we need receivers. So if we can, I think we need to find a way to get Galladay. Do I think he's going to come back to Detroit and get franchise tagged? I'm not betting on it.
It's all right, bro. We're about to get Bud Dupree, Von Miller, Clowney, JJ Watt, Juju, everyone.
It's definitely not going to happen.
Levante David.
Yeah, right. I appreciate it.
What if that happened? What if they got in a group call and were like, yo, let's go to like a really shit team and make them really good? That'd be
right. Lions. Bet. Got it. Okay. We're good. We're in there. That would be dope, but it's not going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen, but
no.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah,
definitely wishful thinking.
No, I agree with though. We need a lot on defense though, because we also have like the worst linebacker core in the NFL. So, a hole can be filled anywhere. I just don't see like even one of them though. I don't see any premier free agent going to Detroit just because of the history and what they think the culture is, unless they're motivated by Dan Campbell's emergence as head coach. Like if they respect him or something. But
I will say this. I'll give, even though we capped on him about him wanting to take people's knees out.
You did.
I'll accept that.
He's a Saints guy. I like him. So
I have to respect his coaching, his hiring decisions from a coaching standpoint. Like he's made some really good moves from as far as like bringing in coaches that have played the game and they know the game and they know the intricacies of the game. And so I give him mad respect for that.
Okay.
Like I think he's brought in guys, and this is what I appreciate. This is where I feel like he can be a true leader. Is I can appreciate somebody that knows that like this person is smarter than me in this situation, so I need to bring that person on board. And so I can appreciate that.
I agree. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it. Like you said, I mean, he's made some good staff hires. How the culture of the team itself, obviously the organization has just a long history of being crap, but like just within the team in the locker room, it'll be interesting to see like their energy, how they play for one another, and like if it's just going to be another season of just lackadaisical bullshit, or are they, busting their ass on every single play.
Yeah, it's just they gotta figure it out. It's
such a generic thing to say to the Lions,
but it's real though, right? Like it's so generic, but it really hits. Like that's really a thing. Like for the Lions,
because they don't have anything figured out.
It's the basic shit with the Lions that like, can we get some effort?
Yeah, right.
Right. Once we can get effort, okay. Now that we get effort, like, can we be competitive? Okay. Now that we got competitive, okay, great. Now, can we win some close games?
No.
Like, can we not hurt ourselves in the game? Right. Like, can we not have turnovers or busted coverage? Like, it's just those things. Like, you just got to start small.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fucking Pee Wee League.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I'm just it's. I love my relationship with the Lions though, because like I want them to do good, but if you don't, I get to laugh. It's funny.
I got the Saints.
Yeah, I do. That's not anything to be proud of right now either, bro. Those dudes don't know. Like I said,
y'all just need to find. Y'all got a quarterback.
If we got an elite quarterback, it'd be on because. All right, let's not. Who wants to eat a W tonight? That dude. No. They'll win like 6 games, I'm feeling, this season. So but
I want to put it like that you still in that conference and you have Carolina and
Falcons.
You have the Falcons. So
what do you think, like Julio? Do you think he'd want to get out of there? Like, it just seems like to end your career, wouldn't you want to try to go somewhere with, they just a flailing organization too. Ever since Brady came back on them, they have just, that was it.
I don't. I think they can. They still. I feel like with them. It's their defense. They have to get that figured out, right?
Because their offense is always fire.
It's always top tier, right?
Yeah.
It's at least either top middle to top tier. But if they can get that defense figured out, they can be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really can. And because you go into every season like, we got to be careful of the Falcons. Like you see the Falcons on your schedule, you're like, that's gonna be a tough game.
It's a good point. Like they could hang 40 on you. Like
easily. Like, I mean, you got Julio Jones, you got Ridley,
Gage. Was that the other receiver?
Yeah. Then
Gurley did not play that
they picked up from Gurley. Like is Freeman still there too?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, yeah, their offense is just it's it's pretty big firepower. I don't know. I don't know how much longer Matt Ryan or how much more he's got in the tank, but he can throw the ball.
That's real.
So I mean, that division to me is just clearly the Bucs division to lose. Like they are, far and away the best team. It'll be interesting to see, those big free agents, if they can retain them. But even without them, it's, they are the best team in that division. So I see them easily being a top seed in the NFC and taking the NFC South fairly easily.
Yeah. It may not be as competitive.
Speaking of the Bucs, Adrian Peterson said that he wants to play with Tom Brady and win a championship. And then he also said, I want to be the Tom Brady of the running backs. He said something along those lines. Yeah, play till he's 40.
Yeah, want to play till he's 40.
But I think me and you both think he's got some ulterior motives behind that.
Definitely got some ulterior motives. He's got to play until he's 40 so he can pay these debts he has.
Yeah, pretty much. Bro.
Like, you're not fooling anybody, AP. Like, you got to, as his nickname is, he got to play all day.
Well, he's saying too that he wants to be like an all-time rusher and pass what's his name? Is it Emmitt Smith?
Like it's fair. Yeah, it's Emmitt.
But I don't know how realistic it is, bro. He's at 14,820 yards. Emmitt Smith's at 18,300 yards. So like you got 3,500 yards to go. So if you want to play 5-6 more seasons, like that's possible, I guess, assuming you're going to get some kind of workload. But like, first of all, get out of Detroit because whatever.
It's too much of a loaded backfield.
Yeah,
not gonna get enough touches.
Too much of a loaded mediocre backfield.
I wouldn't call Swift mediocre. I think he's pretty solid.
Carry On just fell off the map though. I don't know where that dude went.
Like, what the fuck happened to Carry On, bro?
That was weird. Where does Adrian Peterson? Is he top 5 running back of all time?
That's a good ass question.
I think so.
I think he is.
I mean, in his prime, was there a better all-around running back? Like, the dude did everything.
In his prime? Like, they're in a league? No.
Dude, like, ran through
nobody touching.
Stiff arm, like, that explosion. The way he drived his feet. You'd have 3 guys trying to wrap him up, and he's still driving his feet. Like, the dude was... And that season, after 2012, when he, tore his Achilles and came back and damn near broke the single-season rushing record, it was like... This dude's a freak of nature, man. Yeah. I miss watching him play in his prime because he was something to watch, for sure.
Yeah, AP easily. Yeah, top 5.
Okay. I mean, is he better than Emmitt Smith?
So I don't think so. Because you look at the stuff that Emmett was able to, I think you had to take in the stuff that Emmett was able to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
2 Super Bowls, I think. So
2 Super Bowls, all-time leading rusher, like those things matter.
Yeah, for sure. And then I don't think anyone's putting like him above like Barry or Walter Payton. So that would, put him at 4 at best. I'm trying to think who else you'd even want to throw in there. I mean, you could say, what's his name from the Browns, Jim Brown.
I mean, you definitely you got Jim Brown, Sean Alexander,
Damian Tomlinson. Everyone forgets about him, bro.
LD, Marshall Falk, Priest
Falk
Holmes.
was a beast. Yep. I think Adrian or AD is better than both those guys though, Marshall Falk and LT. And I loved LT, but I don't know. Yeah. AP was on a different level. It's it'll be interesting. I don't know where he's gonna go. He's a free agent right now, and like the question is, and I heard Shannon Sharp say that, like, will he get the touches? Like, will he get that workload, or are they just gonna use him as like a once in a while rusher, kind of like they did, in Detroit? I don't see it happening. I think he could maybe get another 2,000 yards, but this 3,500, that's a lot of yards, bro. And you're an old man. So
quick comparison. You think he's better than Eric Dickerson?
Ooh. I mean, I don't watch Eric Dickerson play, but I know Eric Dickerson, he's the one whose record he almost broke, right? He had the single season rushing record for the Rams. I think he had like 2,100 yards or something like that in a season. I know he was really good. I didn't watch him play, so I don't really think it's my place to say, but if I had to put my money on the two, I would probably say Adrian Peterson, like I said, is the most complete back I've ever watched in my lifetime. So it'd be hard for me to say otherwise. Did you watch Eric Dickerson play?
No, I ain't that old.
Yeah, I don't know, man. AP was on another level.
Yeah.
Mad respect to him. Definitely, I think the greatest of this generation of running backs. Him and LT, you'd have to put up there. And then early 2000s would be like Marshall Falk. But my boy Reggie Bush. Just kidding. He's definitely not an all-time great. But I love him, though. Reggie, you my man. Shout out to Reggie Bush. So explosive, bro.
Yeah, Reggie was super talented.
Definitely one of the greatest college running backs there ever was. The dude was on another level in college.
It wasn't fair.
It wasn't. And they had that other good running back too, Lindell White. Was that his name?
Lindell, yeah.
I don't know what happened to him.
He brought that power.
Yeah, what they call him, Thunder and Lightning. That was a great backfield right there, man. I don't know what happened to him. Like, I'm sure he got drafted, but he must have not done anything.
Nah, I don't think he did all that well in the league.
Yeah, that's weird how that happens, man. And even Reggie won a Super Bowl and had a couple like 1,000-yard rushing seasons, or maybe just one, but like compared to what you would have thought he'd do, he did nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird how that plays out.
It was because of what happened when he got hit when he was in New Orleans. He got lit up.
I don't think that had a permanent effect. He did get lit up, bro. That was a bad play.
Breeze threw him out there to die.
Yeah, bro. If I'm Reggie, I'd be like, Drew, what the fuck was that, bro?
When we get in this locker room after this game, I'm fucking you up.
He still does that shit to Kamara. Kamara's pretty good at not getting, slipping it. But Drew at the end there, man, like was just like, fuck, dink and dunk. Like, I don't know what to do with this one.
I don't want to get hit.
No, exactly. Man, that's crazy, bro. I just can't stop thinking about the Saints, but there's nothing else to really say about them. They're just scaring me, bro. I don't see any path for them to be successful this season, and I really don't think they're even like a top. Oh no, I don't even think they're a top 5 NFC team anymore, bro. Green Bay's not going anywhere. The Bucks aren't going anywhere. Trying to think who else we'd put as a powerhouse in the NFC. I think the 49ers are going to reemerge.
Yeah, they'll definitely be back. They'll definitely be back.
So who do you think NFC, and then we'll do AFC, is going to take like a huge step forward that we haven't been talking about? Because
So I do. there's two teams that kind of first kind of jumped in my mind. They're kind of like okay teams this year. They're like 500 teams that I think could take a jump, and it's the Cardinals and the Raiders.
Okay. Oh, and we're forgetting about the Rams because we both said we think they're going to be.
The Rams. I think that's
yeah.
I think if you look at the Rams right now, I would put them like between a top 5 to top 8 team in the league.
Well, talking about the Cardinals, bro, like because I heard today Chandler Jones isn't going anywhere, so that's a good sign for them. They're gonna lock him back up. What do they need to take that next step? I don't know where they're drafting. I can look that up, but
I think they could still use some help from a receiver standpoint. I mean, they got Christian Kirk. We know they got D-Hop.
Christian Kirk was actually balling this year, bro.
Yeah, but I still think they can probably use a couple of pieces just to kind of give some additional help. I don't know if Kenyon Drake is solid.
Yeah, but he's a free agent. That's what I'm looking at, dude. They've got Patrick Peterson as a free agent, Fitzgerald, Kenyon Drake, both their edge rushers, Marcus Golden and Hassan Reddick. Like it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, I think it's really just the on the defensive end, on the defensive side, they really have to kind of find a way to get some. If they can get their defense together and actually be able to get like a decent pass rush, I think that's one of the things that they were really missing this year.
Yeah, and their secondary, it's saying here, because I guess they have the 16th pick, and they're saying they're going to take Joycey Horn, who's a corner out of South Carolina. I never heard of him, but they do like their D. I think their offense is pretty explosive, and if anything, they need to try to get like a lockdown D.
Yeah.
So,
but I even heard that, like, cause I mean, you think about too, like the secondary is pretty solid. You think you have Peterson, you got Budda Baker back there, so you have two solid pieces back there.
And
then you got Dre Kirkpatrick too. So they got like decent guys back there. I think it's just that front, like if they can figure out that linebacker core. They got Kennard from the Lions, which, I mean, were we crazy about him?
I'm not crazy about any player that's ever played on defense in Detroit, Michigan. But
so I think if they can get that front kind of figured out, I think they can make some noise. And then, like I said, I think the Raiders, I think they just have to they got to get a couple more pieces too.
Yeah, the Raiders were very interesting, man. I really like Gruden, but like they looked so good the first half of last season and then fell apart. Like they looked like they had the Chiefs figured out.
Yeah. They I think they just got to learn to learn to win.
Yeah. Put together those close games.
Yeah, put together those close games. They got to learn to win. So if they can do those things, I think they can get back in there. I don't think they're really far.
Ooh, I got a good question for you. So who would you say you think's gonna win the NFC East then? Because who won it this year? Washington. I don't know what moves they're about to make. I think the Cowboys are done, bro, and they're gonna have to go back into a rebuilding phase. I think they're gonna franchise tag Dak again or sign, or I don't know if they can do that, but I think they're gonna sign him. I don't think he's leaving, but that line is depleted. It's not what it was 5 years ago. And I think Zeke is done too, man. Like that dude, Tony Pollard looked more explosive and better last year for the Cowboys than Zeke did. Like Zeke looks like he got his money and he's kind of just like, I'm going to stick to the middle of the pack now and not, or it's injury. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't want to question his, motivation and ambition to be great, but he just doesn't look the same. And like, I wouldn't touch him in like a fantasy league. Like I'd have no faith in that dude anymore.
Yeah. I mean, because he didn't have even 1,000 yards last year. So, but I think a lot of that was because of the injuries on the offensive line. So their offensive line is just not as good as it was when he was having that. And that running game is very predicated on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think also affect the fact that they didn't have Dak back there either.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, you have Andy Dalton, I think it's a bit of a different threat there.
What if Dak went to the Saints?
Can you let this go?
I was just like, I would like that, man. I'd be cool with that. Like, I could do Dak.
So this is I don't know if who's gonna win. If I had to put my money on it today, I would say it would be the Cowboys. But the reason why I would say the Cowboys is because right now, all intents and looking like they're gonna re-sign Dak, right? He's gonna get it, right? They have the best quarterback in that division.
Definitely.
Right? And they have he would have the best supporting cast in that division. I'm not wrong.
That one, he has the best receiving core. I just don't know about, like I said, the run game and the O-line.
You're breaking it down. I said supporting cast. As far as from an offensive standpoint and the weapons he has compared to, they're the best.
That's fair. Yeah, offensive weapons. He does have the best.
Now, Washington is definitely a close second.
Well, they've got some good offensive weapons, but their D is kind of what
that was what holds them up. And I think their thing is that they just need to figure out their quarterback situation, right? Mm-hmm. So as we're sitting things right now, that's why I would pick Dallas because of the fact that we pretty much figured that Dak is coming back. So if you add him into that situation, he's the best quarterback in that division.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely. We know that this is a quarterback-driven league. They just have to. Dallas is not things on offense. It's not what they need to figure out. They need to figure out what the fuck they got going on the defensive side. They're trash.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Washington's drafting 19th. Could they? I don't know if he's went up, in draft order. If he's projected high, where is is it named Josh Fields from Ohio State? Is that his name?
Justin Fields.
He's
not gonna go that low. Unless he kind of just bombs
mm-hmm.
in the combine. I do not think, because they're already projecting that these quarterbacks are going to be gone within, and I'm including Mac Jones into that discussion along with what's the kid's name from North Dakota State? It's Trey Lance and Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. Those 5 guys they're talking about, they're going to be gone within the first 10 picks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which has never happened.
Yeah. If he bombs at the combine. I never understood why the combine and these workouts mean so much to these NFL teams. The other day on ESPN, they were showing Trevor Lawrence doing his pro day where he's throwing, with no pads on, with no one else in the field, just throwing to an open man. And I'm just who the fuck is at this pro day right now? Wow. He can hit an open receiver.
Well, the thing is because let's say if you can't hit an open receiver with nobody rushing at you and you're struggling with that, then they know okay, can he do this in the game?
Definitely, but we've seen him play. We know he can. Who the fuck? They just
want to get closer eyes on him.
I guess, yeah, his mechanics maybe and how he throws the ball.
You want to see you want to see his foot movement. You want to see all that stuff.
It's true. I'm too harsh, but still fuck them. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't know if it'll be the Cowboys though, bro. I would probably. I mean, it's not the Eagles.
God no.
What's up with the Giants, man? Saquon should be back. Do you trust? What do you think of Danny Dimes? What's your assessment of him 2 seasons in?
He is like Trubisky. You can't trust him.
No, he can get running,
how do you fall down? Come on, bro. All you got to do is just stay on your feet. How do you fall down running? Come on, dude. No. It's embarrassing.
It is.
I felt like if I could trust them a little bit more, because they got some good pieces too. They got Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Golden Tate. They got Ingram. They got pieces.
I think it's their defense
I just don't trust him.
Yeah, I don't either. Or their D. They got that one really good linebacker. I forget dude's name. Blake Martinez. He's a beast.
Yeah.
But I don't know really anything else about their secondary.
I mean, they got Dexter Lawrence. He's pretty solid. Leonard Williams, but I believe he's a free agent.
Yeah, so they're out of it, basically, is what we're saying. Them and Philly.
I just don't. Not. Yeah, I just don't. I don't trust. I just do not.
I don't either.
I just don't trust trust him. Like Daniel Jones is not the answer.
No, I agree with you. So that'll be interesting. And then as far as the AFC goes, I know we were talking about it last week, but if we're talking about people that are rising, I think the Browns are on the rise. I hope that the Titans are on the rise because I really like the Titans. Like, they're very interesting to me.
But how are the Titans on the rise from what though? Like they went. What did they finish? 11-5 last year. So what? How much further are they going to rise?
Well, they need to push themselves into AFC Championship / Super Bowl contention. So it's like, what move are you going to make? For sure, as we talked about last week, their D needs, they've got some holes they need to fill. And also, like we talked about last week, I think they would be suited trying to make a move at quarterback to try to find that dude that's going to bring them over the hump and not be a game manager, because they've got a lot of offensive weapons that an elite quarterback could really, push forward to make an elite offense. Because you could argue now they're an elite offense, and that's just based on Derrick Henry running the ball. And like this AJ Brown dude that I've been talking about that I think's a future top receiver in the league. He's putting up numbers, and you look at him, bro, he's getting like 5 receptions a game, dude. He's not even touching the ball much because they don't have an elite quarterback to get him the ball. It's just when he's touching it, he's exploding for these huge gains. So get a elite quarterback in there, man. Like, you get that'd be huge for your offense. Open up the passing game, and that'll make it easier on Derrick Henry, because the Ravens just were like, let's stack the box and not let Henry do anything. And you guys need to beat us with your passing game. And they definitely could not. So that's where they need to make improvement.
Like I said, as far as the AFC, I think like the Raiders, but then we talked about, I think the Browns can be really good. But the team that I think again, it's not like a middle of a pack team that they're kind of young, but I think they can make some move. I like the Chargers because I think kind of Justin Herbert kind of put everybody on notice of how good he is. I don't think everybody was expecting it. So I really do think that they can be really solid as going into next year, just depending upon, again, the type of moves that they end up making.
What about the Dolphins, bro? They have a 3rd overall pick and then like another top 20 pick. They went 10-6 last year. Pretty good looking D. I don't know if I trust Tua, but they played great. So that's crazy.
The defense is solid. They got what's next to you're right.
10-6, man. I mean, if someone told you that at the beginning of that season, like, I would have thought it would have just been another year. Yeah.
And you think about the amount of like just inconsistency that they had, and I'm not talking about, but like you never knew from one week to the next, like who your starting quarterback was going to be, or like, you know what I mean? So like when you can get a sense of consistency like that, I think that kind of helps to level things off, so where it's not making players anxious. So that's a great pick.
Yeah. I don't know where Fitzmagic's going to end up, but dude's a baller.
I like your comment about New England, though.
That would be crazy. That would be insane if Bill Belichick came to a podium and said, Ryan Fitzpatrick is our guy. That would just be like, wow. He just seems like, and I love Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he just seems like the exact opposite of what people would say the Patriot way is. Like, he just does not seem like, I don't know. It would be very interesting.
What if him and Deshaun like get remarried in New England? like for real, like they met up in New England. It's not like New England don't need receivers.
Yeah, that is true.
And Deshaun would be pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And they already had that connection from when they played in Miami.
Yeah.
Or no, not Miami. Yeah.
Wait, you're talking about Deshaun Jackson?
Yeah.
He played in Miami?
No. He didn't play in Miami. Where did he play?
Philly,
yeah. Had to reconnect there.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, man. Deshaun, I don't know about Deshaun, bro. My dude's old. He's a really seasoned speedster.
It wasn't even in Philly. No, it was in Tampa.
Oh, you're right. He did play in Tampa for a season or two, and then he went back to Philly. I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know. But you're right. They did play together. As far as the NBA, we got the All-Star starters announced. I don't think the rest of the team, right?
No, the reserves will be announced on Tuesday.
And then I didn't read this, but from when I'm looking at the results, they're not doing a draft this year. They're just straight up doing East and West again.
I don't know. I know that KD and LeBron will be captains, but I didn't see where a situation where they're going to do East and West. I thought they were still doing the.
I thought so. I don't know why they would have stopped it, but like it says that like the East and West starters are announced,
Nope,
and
it
it's not.
says Brent, James, and Durant will pick their respective teams during teams from the remaining 22 All Stars on
Okay,
March
so the
4th.
starters remain. Is that how that works? I wonder this year they're because dude, like the pictures
No,
I'm seeing show like
so
the
they'll pick. So they just announced who's those starters or whatever, and I think they just kind of showed like who they thought like who
maybe they
made it
just
from
put
the
them
East
there.
as
Okay,
starters and who made it from the West as starters. That's not going to say like who's going to be specifically
that's fair.
on
Okay,
that's what that was.
okay,
So yeah, no, they're still doing the picks.
yeah. Well, it's so let's see then. So that means we have LeBron and KD as captains, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as who came out of the East, I think we have Kyrie. I'm trying to think who else.
Kyrie, Bradley, Bill, Giannis, Joel, and KD. And then in the West is Bron, Luca, Steph,
Steph, yeah.
Kawhi, and the Joker.
Okay. It's a pretty good start, like top 10. That'll be a very interesting.
There's a glaring
Yeah, bro.
issue
Dame
there.
Dame Lillard needs to be in there. Like,
He had like the amount of, and I get it, like, you know, there's Luca has an advantage because he has like an entire country behind him getting, you know, giving him votes, right? So there's a little bit of that, but like the fact that Dame I feel like he consistently just doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Easily, probably one of the most clutch. He's made the most clutch shots over the last couple of years than anybody in the league.
yeah,
That is
man.
a stat.
Oh yeah.
Anybody. Those clutch points.
it's a fan voting thing, man. Like he just
Yeah.
doesn't have the pull that Steph or
Yeah.
Luca
I
has.
mean,
And
and like who's looking for Portland, right? Like it's just
no.
not that place, but Dame deserves to be an all-star starter. Granted, he'll still be an all-star, but he deserves to be an all-star starter.
He definitely
Like
does, man.
he's that's a glaring thing. And like some people were talking about like, well, what about like Donovan Mitchell? Like the Jazz has a number one pick, or not the number one pick, but they have the number one record in the league right now. And I get what they're saying, but I don't. There's still a level that I think Donovan hasn't quite hit yet. That Dame is already at and playing at.
Yeah, I mean Dame to me, and people like we were just saying, like he's not almost like a Steph or Luca as far as like an in-house like superstar with popularity, but he's hit superstar status with just the moments that he's produced in the playoffs and in clutch situations. Man, the dude is just cold-blooded. He's my favorite player. It's an atrocity, bro. That's all I can say.
It is. It's crazy. And can we talk? And somebody mentioned this. Like, why does Dame not have a watch endorsement?
Yeah, you
Like,
should, bro.
what? Like, what watch company is missing out on him? Like, what? Do you understand? Come on now.
Can you imagine that commercial? He hits the shot and points to his wrist, and it's a Rolex or something like that, or
Come
a
on, they
AP
are
or
missing
something.
out on money.
Yeah, that's a good
Get that
point, bro.
man a watch endorsement. Stop playing with that guy.
He's just disrespected, man, all the way around. Like the dude is,
Shinola, call Steph up.
yeah, yeah.
Or not Steph. Sorry, call Dame up. It's Dame time. Give him that man. He need a
He
watch
does.
endorsement. What are we doing? Like
I love
this is crazy. I thought about like, damn, that's true. He really does need that. Like, who? Genius.
He does, man. He does. Where do you think what's your take on the Pistons and the Cavs have both decided with Blake Griffin and Drummond respectively they're going to sit him until they can find a trade, which I understand. I think both of them feel like it's time for them to move on from them and either rebuild or just see what they can get for them. But obviously Draymond made those comments about how there's, the double standard, which I do. When he said, like, at face value, I do agree with his point that people are so loyal to teams, or players are so loyal to teams, and they can just trade you, on the whim. But like, people burn jerseys of players that decide, like, they want to get out, whether it's through trade or free agency. I just don't agree, and I don't know if we talked about this when we were first starting the pod, but like when it's stuff like AD or James Harden, when you're contractually obligated to be playing, like I don't like that. When it's like I'm just gonna throw a hissy fit and get my way out of here. That's just how I feel about it.
So what you were mentioning before, that's not what Draymond was talking about. What you just mentioned, that's what Draymond was talking about, right? So like people get upset because players realize like this isn't where I want to be. This isn't a place for me, right? And so I don't want to be here. But when a team like the Cavs that has a player that is contractually obligated to be there, and then all of a sudden you're telling them like, nah, go away. We'll find some place for you to go. But people don't get mad at the teams when they do that to the player. But the player has to remain professional in that sense. But that we think it's unprofessional when the players do things to get out of the places where they don't no longer want to be. That's what he was mentioning.
Okay.
Because that's the double standard. Is the teams can do it even though they made an agreement with this player, like, hey, we gave you a 5-year contract, we want you to be here, or we traded for you and we want you to be here. Now all of a sudden we're like, no, we don't need you anymore. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
So that's what he was mentioning.
The thing is, though, when I heard Chris Bouchard say this on First Things First, you have to understand, like, the employer is always going to have certain rights that the employee doesn't have. You know what I mean? Like, that's, and it's business both ways. And I don't have a problem with players deciding they don't want to be there anymore. But I think you still play and you notify them, like, hey, like, I want to be traded. And, like, I want to be traded, whether it's now
James
or.
still played. AD still played. They still play.
I guess. That's true. I don't know. I respect. And this is the thing, like LeBron came on to the comments and was like, I back Draymond, which is fine, but it was just interesting for me to hear that because LeBron has been a class act as far as like he fulfills his contractual agreements everywhere he goes, and then he leaves in free agency. Like that's just always what he's been about, and I really respect that.
So this is a thing where I think this is different in the sense of like normal day to day of like you as an employee or whatever, with you having to do your job and stuff like that. We have to realize that players themselves are an entity. They are their own business, right? So they have to hold themselves like a business. So if a business agreement is no longer to your benefit or to your liking, you have to find ways to get out of that. Right. So it's not a normal like how we go about our jobs, our 9 to 5s and stuff. It's not the same.
That's true.
So that's where I think people may get a little bit misconstrued about the dynamic of that when it comes to NBA players, because their skills and their body, that's their business.
And so they're just less expendable, right? Like it's not like, like a me and you's business. If we quit or something, okay, we'll find another person that does it. Like there's not many James Hardens in the world, bro.
Exactly.
Like you're not gonna just so.
And they have to maximize, like we can be working for 30, 40, 50 years. They have to maximize the time that they got, because at some point we know their body starts to deteriorate and it just doesn't have the same value. So they have to maximize it as best as possible.
Very true. Yeah. I don't know. That's a really good point, man. I definitely don't have an issue with anyone, if, especially NBA players. Like if you want to get out, like I totally get that. It's just I don't know. Sometimes it's the way that it's like for me, especially James, some of it just seemed like blatant disrespect, like going in the club with like your mask off and just kind of like just stuff like that.
That was a bit much. I'll give him that. Like that was a bit much. Like you can like, because I think even like I think the way AD did it was fine. Like he just let it know, like I don't want to be here, right? He still went out and he still played and stuff like that. Did he play probably to his greatest? Probably not, but he's still out there and he still performed well, right? Where James was like made it clear, like he was just clearly showing that it wasn't there, and it was, and I don't think it's necessarily the disrespect to the team, but it's more so as like John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins were talking about. It's like you almost disrespecting them as players, right? Like we come in here and we busting our ass. Like at the very least you can do is just come in here and just put forth an effort.
Definitely. With that being said, where's the best place for Drummond?
So we talked about this a little bit. I think the best place for him is Boston.
Okay.
Like they need a big man that can get rebounds. Tristan Thompson is not it. Daniel Tice is not it. So if they can bring Drummond in, that'll really solidify that team, I think, for them. and make them really run. So that way, when they go up against, the Sixers, they can compete and they can, they have somebody that can go in and bump with Joel.
That would be awesome.
So that, and then the other place, which I don't know if it will happen, but it would probably be the Clippers.
I mean, yeah, they do need a center because who are they running at center right now? Zubac?
Ibaka.
Ibaka. Okay.
He's their starting center.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Actually,
I mean, he helps them space the floor, right? Like, 'cause it's not like Ibaka's still not a good.
Well, he's a shot blocker.
He's a shot blocker and he's a decent rebounder, but Drummond is just like if you can shift and put Ibaka at the 4, which is much more of a natural spot for him to be at, that makes things better. So, but yeah, I definitely think like Phoenix, and then someone mentioned this, my boy Alex Fudge. So shout out to Alex first to the party, but the Raptors.
Raptors would be very interesting because they do need it. I don't even know who they're running at center since they got rid of Marcus Gasol.
Chris Boucher.
Yeah, no.
I think his name is dude from Oregon. Like, that's not just it. Really thin, frail guy. I mean, he looks like top 5 in the league in blocks, but like, no.
Boston would be awesome though, and I'm not even necessarily a Boston fan, but it would be cool to see them elevate from always hovering at like that top 5 in the Eastern Conference area, getting to some Eastern Conference finals and getting bounced. But like that could I don't think that'd put them over the hump as far as winning a championship, but it would like make them a bona fide top 2 or 3 contender in the Eastern Conference. So
yeah.
Because they still got those 2 wings that are balling, bro. Like both
Tatum and Brown are nasty.
Yeah, man. It's such a good tandem.
They need Kemba to get it together.
Yeah, dude. If Kemba was playing like a resemblance of how he used to, they would be a force to be reckoned with. But
yeah,
he is just.
Hopefully, the All-Star break will help him some.
And then who is there even a market for a Blake Griffin right now? Like where the hell?
So a trade is not going to happen. We can let that pipe dream go. Trade is not going to happen. Nobody's going to buy Blake's contract, right? Like nobody's going to do that. So it's going to be what's going to happen is a buyout's going to happen, and then he's going to go somewhere. That's what I see happening with Blake. Now, I talked to you about this. Like, I really think that he would be pretty good in Phoenix just to have him reconnect with CP. But they need another big guy out there. And I think his ability, again, he can still step out and stretch the floor. But I think him being someplace warm and make him feel a little bit better. And plus, I don't think Blake is really playing all that enthused anyway. Like, Blake is averaging 12 points a game. Like, he can average more than that.
He needs to get back into that kind of role, though, that he would be if he went to the Suns. Because, like, this is not it. Like, what he was doing the last 2 years in Detroit of, like, trying to be, like, this poor man's LeBron. You know what I mean? Like, it was, like, bro, like, it's not
working.
You're definitely all-around talented, but you're not all-around elitely talented. Like, you're best suited as a 4. And like you said, but he's worked on his jump shot. And assuming that he has just been playing without any motivation and he could get back to how he looked the last couple of years in that, like, 3rd, 4th option role rather than, taking the ball up. Like, again, he reminded me of like a poor man's LeBron when he was like healthy in Detroit. Like they were trying to run him as like he's running the point, backing people down, like just running the whole offense. And it's like that's not it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so. I think Phoenix could be a really good spot for him.
That'd be interesting, bro. They'd have 2 really big or good big dudes. I don't know how good Blake is defensively. But him and Ayton there on the offensive end would be scary for sure.
A little scary there defensively.
Not the greatest, bro. Definitely not.
In the other place I could see Blake going to, granted, I don't know if they would do this, but maybe San Antonio, like because LaMarcus Aldridge is.
San Antonio was a sad shell of what it used to be. I feel bad.
I mean, well, let's not. They are 16. They're in the 6th spot right now in the West. They're 16 and 11.
Okay, but do we think they're going to make any noise whatsoever in the playoffs? Because I don't.
No, we don't. But like for the fact, with you look at the roster that they have and where they're sitting right now, you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, that's just on Pop's greatness.
And Blake does give them a boost as far as talent goes, for what they have, right? So I think he would definitely give them a boost in talent, because like who is their starting 4?
Is Aldridge playing the 5?
I think it's Keldon Johnson is playing. Aldridge is out. He hasn't been playing. Like Jakob Portal is their starting center, and then I think Keldon Johnson is their.
No, thank you.
Like Keldon Johnson is, I think, their starting power forward, and he's 6'5", and DeMar is playing starting 3, and DeMar was 6'6", 6'5". So like they're small, and I think Blake would kind of help come in. They can drop Keldon Johnson to the bench.
DeMar DeRozan might have one of the most depressing NBA careers I've ever seen, bro. Dude was just getting not for his physical and individual accolades, like he's a great player, but just like seeing him get smacked by LeBron every single year in the playoffs, and every single year they would be like, "This is our year, we got it." They'd win the 1 seed and then get like just sunned by LeBron's Cavs, no matter how good or bad they were. And then the season that he gets out of there, they win a fucking championship like that. Like I feel
that's
bad.
not fair to him though, like because like LeBron wasn't there, right? Like so I don't think that's not you can't put that on.
Oh, I'm not. I'm saying it's depressing just like looking at
is.
it. It's like that sucks, bro. I'm sorry you had to go through that shit. That's and you go to San Antonio, who's been over the last 20 years one of the most winningest franchises in sports, and they are just mediocre
a shell
now.
of themselves. Yeah,
So
it's a shell of
like,
themselves.
poor guy, poor DeMar. Did you watch the Laker Brooklyn game last night?
I did. It's an ass whooping. That's what it was.
Just wasn't really.
It just was. I mean, but granted, like the Lakers were not only without AD, but they're also without Shooter because of protocol, safety, and protocol issues. But I don't. To be honest, it's because Kyrie really didn't have that good of a game. He only had maybe like 16 points, I think it was.
He didn't shoot the ball well.
Yeah, but I think had Schroeder been there, I think he would have played a little bit better because he felt like it was a little bit of a tougher competition. Like KCP, Alex Caruso, like Quinn Cook, like they don't get that's not competition to him, right? But then I think again it just kind of shows. I think people are like asking a lot of questions about the Nets bench, and that bench really kind of showed up for them last night too. Like Joe Harris showed up. TLC showed up. Like they got Jeff Green played a pretty decent game. It just really scares me how small they are though.
I just don't get when we're willing to admit that they're easily going to win the championship, and you can bet your bank account on it. You're just doing what everyone else is doing, bro. Like I hate it. Like KD has done it again, bro. Nice K-walk to the next championship, buddy. You did it, brother.
So we're gonna do this again. We're gonna do this again, huh? You gonna sit here and act like your boy ain't start this? Is that what we're gonna do?
Well,
he started it.
The big three started it, but in Boston.
But they didn't orchestrate that.
Yeah, that's true.
LeBron orchestrated his.
I have no problem with player movement and joining other stars and stuff. It just seems like KD has pushed the envelope too far on 2 occasions now, where it's just like, bro, you were completely rigging the deck in your favor, bro. Like, yeah, we don't have to get into it again. It's just I just want everyone to admit. You know what? You don't have to admit anything. I just want to go on the record and say that I have not a 1% doubt that Brooklyn's going to win it all. They're going to win the championship. It's booked. It's done. Like they've won the championship this year. So.
Yeah, I mean, because you think about it, like we know that they don't play the greatest defense, right?
They don't need to.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's like, who's going to stop them on defense?
No.
like they don't have to stop you, but can you stop them? You're going to miss some shots.
If you can lock down 2 of the greatest offensive talents playing on one team, there's another one. There's another one. Like it's impossible. And it is an interesting debate though, so I guess we can talk about it because they've been talking about it since LeBron made that comment, like, have we forgotten about KD with Steph and Clay? What do you think's better? Because Golden State was so good with ball movement, bro, and that clearly the shooting was better, but obviously the Nets have all 3 of those are clearly better isolation players. So it's just such a tricky thing to dissect and compare.
I mean, That's a tough conversation. I do not know. I think like because we haven't seen them. We've only seen them on the court together 7 times.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if I know enough about that team right now to kind of really give an opinion at the moment. If
Mm-hmm.
it is tough to kind of say that like with Kyrie and James that's better than Clay and Steph. Like we understand that if we're looking at it right. So let's if you want to put it to where Kyrie and Steph are in the same bucket, and then James and Clay are in the same bucket, right? So I think one kind of takes over the other, right? So you would probably consider Steph to be better than Kyrie, right? And then you would say that James is better than Clay.
I don't know. I think we're looking at that differently, bro. Because I like how we were just saying who's gonna stop them, or who like they're suspect defensively. Golden State was a great defensive team. Clay is a top, in my opinion, top 10 perimeter defender. Katie emerged when he got there as a defender, and obviously we know they had Draymond Green. So like as an all around team, I think, and plus they won 2 championships and one before Katie was even there. So it's like I think like it's going to be hard to argue with that unless Brooklyn rattles off a couple championships. But
So
if
go ahead.
individually, yeah, but like individually, those 3 like.
So that's what I'm comparing. It's just that triple that package of those 3 trips, right? Like if I'm looking at it from a point guard standpoint, you look at Steph and Kyrie. Who would you rather have? Like, who is better, Steph or Kyrie? You had to say Steph is better. Just it's okay.
Yeah, I
He's better,
guess
right? The shooting makes him better. It's a thing.
that's
And then
true.
you look at James and Clay. James is the better player, right?
Sure, but I'd rather
But
have
I
Clay on
think,
my team.
but what?
I'd rather have Clay on my team, but I think James is better.
I'll take James. But I think what separates them is because what makes the separation with the Nets is that like they all can go and go get their own bucket at any time in the game.
Yeah.
Can Clay do that? Can
No,
Clay get his own bucket at any time? No, he's predicated on coming off of screens and stuff like that.
for sure. I totally agree with you there.
Where James is a problem with the ball in his hand.
Yeah, all 3 of them are, man. It's absolutely insane.
So if I'm leaning towards it, I would lean a little bit more towards the Nets, but it's difficult to argue just because of the shooting. I think people don't really realize how good of shooter like that shooting combo is with Steph and Clay. I mean, it's the reason why they call it the Splash Brothers. Like you look at Golden State right now, and they are 16 and 13 with Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think
You
those are
had
the 2 greatest
Clay in there.
shooters.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, and they just played such good team basketball. It was.
Yeah.
I boycotted watching them, but like I'm sure it was fun to watch them. I respected the hell out of Golden State before that too, though. Like seriously, like the even before Katie got there, that was just their mom. You know, that was their MO. They were just moving the ball. It wasn't isolation ball really. It was we're gonna move it quick and get to the open shooter or get an easy bunny, you know, in the paint. And they were incredible at it. And hats off to Steph for continuing to ball while your boy Clay's out, man. Steph, like I was kind of always rooting against you guys when you were going against LeBron, but like yeah, he's holding it down for sure.
Like the dude has been going nuts. So since we're talking about Steph and Clay, give me your top 5 like MVP candidates right now.
I'm going LeBron number 1, Embiid number 2. That's gonna be hard for those 2. They might move between each other, but for them to get out of the 1 and 2 bracket, it's gonna be really hard unless they fall or someone rises. So those 2 right now have LeBron and then Embiid, but that could change. But like I think those 2 are going to be a lock there. At 3, I'm probably still going to put Joker, but because Golden State is 500, if they can get to like a top 5, bro, I'm going to have Steph right up there because like we're saying, like he is holding it down. And if they can be like a top 5 seed, I could justify him being a real MVP candidate. I just think it's hard to do that when you're lower than that. And then I'd want to have Katie in there, but again, it's just like, you know, they need to be the number 1 seed because of how good they are. Like you need them to be the number 1 seed and KD to keep playing like how he is for me to put him up there. So I'm going to say LeBron, then Embiid, then Joker, then Steph, and then Donovan Mitchell. And I know that sounds disrespectful because they're the 1 seed, but like, I don't know. I just don't think.
You're doing what we just talked about at the start of this segment. You're disrespecting Dame Lillard.
That's true, man. You're
like,
not
come
wrong.
on. Like, what are we doing here? Are we like, come
Where
on,
do you have
bro?
him?
Dame. I would have to put Dame at 3.
Okay.
They have a better record. They're at 18-10, and their roster is pretty much just no Nurkic,
no Nurk,
no Collins, no CJ.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at this right now. He's got to be top 5.
Like, he has to. Like, I would go Bron, Embiid, Dame.
You know what? I can't even put Joker in there. They're 8th seed.
But they also started like in the bottom of the barrel. Yeah. But then I'm right with you. I probably would put Joker in there right now. I would probably put James at 5.
Okay.
Like, I'd probably put Harden at 5. You look at what he's been doing, and like, dude has been balling. So that would be my 5. It would be right now. It'd be Bron, Embiid, Dame, Steph, and then James Harden.
Okay. What do you think that? I don't think anyone MVP's ever won it that late. Does that? I mean, I don't think it's going to swing the argument one way or another for LeBron fans or haters if he wins this MVP. As amazing as it'll be, like, I don't think it's really going to do much other than say he tied Jordan in MVPs. But that would be crazy if he won this year, just because of the age. I don't know if there's anyone that's played at this level that late into their career.
Yeah, I mean, no.
And he's carrying them. Like, it's funny, we talked about at the beginning of the season that like the Lakers were we expected
AD, but no.
They haven't been, man. Like, he's been carrying them. Like, it's
but they were talking about it too, because you think about it, AD had like a similar injury while they were in the bubble, and they really didn't have much time to like really rejuvenate their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe was like 2.5 months. And then you got to get back at it. So I don't know if he really had time to let that injury heal, and then he re-aggravated it again. Mm-hmm. So we know that AD's had a history of just being a bit injury prone.
Definitely.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I feel bad for Dame, man. Like, it's and I don't know, because like they've never showed before that they really can make that push for a championship. I know they did make a Western Conference Finals, but I wish he had all his pieces, man, just to see like what they could do, because I would love nothing more than to see Dame win a championship.
Because CJ was cooking this year. They start off the season, that dude was cooking.
And from 3, man, which is crazy because most of his work is usually
he was leading the league in it.
Most of his work is usually in the mid-range, but this season, bro, he's clearly stepped outside of that, which is awesome.
Hitting with like 5 threes a game, like, dude was cooking.
So what's your prediction then? Who's, like, if you had to pick today, who's going to the finals?
I mean, I think it's probably be between the Lakers and the Nets. But I want to see. I think I have to put a little bit of respect, because I've probably been disrespecting the Utah Jazz a little bit. They play the Lakers on the next week. They play them on the 24th. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. As a matter of fact, they play the Clippers tonight, but I think Leonard and everybody else is still out, so I don't know how much you can really read into those games right now. But the game on the 24th, I'll be interested to see how that game goes.
Okay. And like, I respect the Jazz, but I don't see them making much noise late in the playoffs. They'll probably win a series or 2 because they're a top pick. But I've got the Clippers in Brooklyn, and then Brooklyn winning in probably 5 or 6.
Is it because you're just not sure what's going to happen with AD? Or you even with AD?
Yeah. And even with AD, like, we didn't get to see that this, and it was the bubble, but we didn't really get to see what that playoff series would have been like. That would have been awesome, right?
I do want to see that. I'm not gonna lie.
I just don't trust AD, and nor do I trust Paul George. But I feel like the Clippers have a better all-around team than the Lakers. And I don't know, man. I would have to give it to the Clippers. I can't say it definitively, but I think the Clippers will come out of the West, assuming that they all stay healthy and play reasonably as expected and not, choking it away. I have no idea what's going on with AD and like with that injury and stuff. And I just think LeBron's not, as great as someone is. You can't drag a team past an amazing team like that without some supporting help.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if AD doesn't get back to his usual self, you're probably right. They'll probably beat the Clippers.
Because I don't trust the Jazz. Like they have not, they have no playoff experience.
Well, not even a playoff experience. I think we've kind of seen this consistently throughout the playoffs and championships. Like you have to have some type of superstar talent, and I don't think Donovan's there yet.
No.
I think he's a really good player. Like he showed that he can kind of do those things, but I think with Mike Conley being there, it kind of takes the ball out of his hands to where that you are not allowing for him to be his best self, because his best self is when he has the ball in his hands.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So I don't know if I just don't know if I can trust it right now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it too, and I really like Donovan, but I feel like you need that like all-time great bona fide superstar to really make a push for a title, and I just don't have him there. I'd say
if they go up against either one of those teams, I think they'll find a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then as far as boxing goes, man, my favorite fighter, Terrance Crawford, is looking for his next fight. We don't really know what's going to happen yet. I don't know if you know who Sean Porter is. He does some announcing for boxing. He's had some good fights.
Sean Porter is,
and, he's lost his only two like really big mega fights with Errol Spence. I forget who the other dude's name was, but he's a very good fighter. And he declined to fight Terrance Crawford for $2 million, just saying that was like a disrespectful amount of money to be offering him, which I guess you can say is kind of fair, but again, like Sean Porter has not really proven to be box office because he hasn't won any of his big pay-per-view bouts. So I don't know if he has the pull to even dictate that. So for him to, I don't know what purses he's usually getting paid, but like you have a chance to beat Terrance Crawford, bro. Like I don't know, unless you're afraid. That'd be a fight.
That was kind of jumped in my head. Like maybe he's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that right now. I need to get a fight in before I jump into that.
I love Terrance Crawford, bro. I love that dude.
It's a bad dude.
He is, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about because they also said that Pacquiao, they wanted him to fight, which I think that would be, first of all, that's just wrong. Like I think that's Pacquiao, that's not a problem that you want at this age and stage in your career. But he was like, yeah, I'll do it for $40 million. And they're like, bro, no one's got the money for $40 million for you, man. Like that's just like you're
between him and Pacquiao?
Between Terrance Crawford and Pacquiao. But that I almost feel like that may have been Pacquiao's way of being like, yeah, I don't want that fight either, just to like claim that he needs a ridiculous amount of money for it. Because there's no way to really market that. I think like most people would agree that at this point in Pacquiao's career, Terrance Crawford would make pretty light work of him.
So if it was to be a fight to where he could get that much money or demand that much money, who would he need to fight?
Pacquiao? Is that what you're talking about? Crawford, Errol Spence, or Canelo. I would like to see Errol Spence first because that's kind of the fight that everyone's been talking about for a long time. And I don't know, like they both claim that the other one's dodging them and stuff like that. And it's really hard to make a fight happen, man, when you got two guys, especially if they're signed to different promotional teams and stuff like that. But like those are just two clearly the best at where they're at. I think they're in welterweight. And that's just like a fight that I really want to see. But eventually I'd like to see Canelo come down a little bit and get knocked out by Terrance Crawford. That'd be awesome. So
not a big Canelo fan, huh?
He's a great fighter. I just yeah, I don't know. I would just have my money on Terrance and be heavily rooting for Bud as well. So do you like Canelo?
For sure. I do like Canelo. I think he's pretty solid. I do kind of question sometimes some of his competition. But I mean, I think he's learned from that fight that he had against Floyd. His defense has gotten better
for sure.
So I think he's starting to really kind of coming to his own as far as like being a top tier boxer.
Mm-hmm.
But we, that those fights that he had with Triple G, I just think we need to see more of those like top notch, like mega boxing matches from him.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, cause you're at that point in your career where it's like, bro, that's all you should be fighting at this point. Like, you've, made your money. I think he's over 50 fights, so it's like you've unified and covered one belts in a couple different divisions. From this point on, you should be only fighting for championships or like unifications or super fights. Like, we don't need to see you against these other dudes anymore. It's like we know what that's about. And then if we jump up to the heavyweight division, I don't know if you've seen it, bro, but Tyson Fury put a video on his Instagram of him like running around in the water. If you haven't seen it, you're gonna have to check it out.
I'm about to check it out.
Go look at it. He looked big, bro. Like really big. And now people are speculating, like, is this another what he did after he beat Klitschko? Like, is he gonna balloon back up and lose it mentally and like not have, any type of motivation to do it, with Joshua and try to unify? I would like to think that that's not the case. I feel like he is in a better headspace, but the video, he did look pretty chubby in the video, as if he hasn't been running much or doing much road work, because the dude, he looks pretty big.
Let me see if I can find this video.
Yeah,
I don't think it takes a lot for him to like to get there either, though, right? Like,
no, yeah, and he's got that work ethic he's shown, after his depressive state, how he dropped hundreds of pounds to get down to fight Wilder. But it's just a question that's on people's mind because of his history of, his mental illness. So I don't know. Did he delete his fucking Instagram? I think he may have deleted his Instagram, bro. What the hell?
Yeah, I was over there fat shaming him.
Dude, that's odd. So we're trying to look for this video right now, and I can't find it. You probably can find it online somewhere, but he had an Instagram like 2 days ago when I was watching that, so that's really weird. But yeah, there's a video of him like kind of running through the water. He looks really big. His game has never really been predicated on his athleticism or his fight game, though.
No.
So I mean,
it's all just he has an impeccable head movement and defense, and he knows how to box.
So would you take him over Joshua right now?
Probably.
Yeah, me too. I would as well. Yep. I just think Fury's been on that stage longer, I guess, and has had tougher competition. But I think I'm too critical of AJ sometimes, because he did fight Klitschko, bro, and Klitschko knocked him down, and Joshua got back up and knocked him out. So like, he has heart. Like, it's not, and then he got embarrassed by Andy Ruiz and came back and won comfortably. So it's like, it's not like he's shown that he's resilient, and it's not like he's just out if things aren't looking hot. So that would be a great fight. Both of them have a lot of heart and a lot of skill, and like I just need to see that. That's definitely the fight to be made right now.
Yeah. So the question is, do you think that fight will go the full 12? I know it's a little early to call it, but
yeah, it's that's very interesting, because as technically sound as Joshua is, he has won most of his fights by knockout. So that's always in my mind in a Joshua fight, is like the probability of him winning this by knockout is greater than him winning this by a decision.
Yeah.
But that's not really Fury's game, Fury's, would rather outbox you, outclass you, and take it to the scorecards. Yeah. So, and no matter how much Joshua might force the issue, Fury's good at dancing and, ducking and dodging. So I would probably say it would go to the scorecards. Unless Fury decides to go, into the fight with the strategy he had against Wilder and put your front foot forward and, headhunt Joshua, then I could see it, there being a knockout. But I think Fury's best bet is to just put on his supreme boxing ability and just, try to school him. But then Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, said that in 2022, he could see Joshua fighting Wilder again. And I still, since we talked about him last, I don't really know what Wilder's up to. But I don't know. That I don't know how much hype that generates after he just got knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week. Like he needs a fight or two, get his mojo back, get his confidence back, and just so we can see like post Fury being knocked down, what do you look like, right? Like we just need to see him out there. So I think once we see him out there, and if he's back to himself, and I think it will be a tall tale to see whether or not he can take on that type of fight where he can go up against Joshua or go up against Ruiz or Laverne, like any of these other guys. It'd be interesting to see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. It's I agree with you. I think he needs probably at least 2 fights and to win impressively for him to be considered like he's going to go back to the top stage and re-challenge Fury or Joshua. So.